Hello, humans! Finally! It's good to be back after the holidays, with quarantine on, and no visitors, and no traveling, and with the whole core family home 24/7 in any case. The solstice really shouldn't have made a difference to my creative output, but darn it, it totally did. I blame this on a game called I Love Hue 2. The game consists of tiled color gradients getting scrambled, and then you reorganize them into a gradient again. My eldest child got me addicted to it, and I've been spending my evenings playing it while binge-watching a YouTuber called Pushing Up Roses review episodes of Murder, She Wrote. It's been heaven, obviously, and it's been a pretty good escape from the realities of America today, which are frightening, and another reason to escape into game mode, but none of that's productive. Speaking of no segue whatsoever, here we are at chlorine. Chlorine is a pale yellow gas at normal temp and pressure, and as such has many uses and a checkered history. Canisters of it were used to kill troops in World War I. It basically melts lung tissue, a gruesome and painful death, plus a shift in the wind meant it would destroy the men who said it as well. It was, indiscriminate. And then again, a tiny amount of chlorine in water renders it fit to drink. Millions of people have been protected from waterborne microbes, some of them deadly, by the careful implementation of this element, so this all begs a question. Is chlorine good for people or bad? Deadly or life-saving? Crucial or toxic? The answer, of course, is it's both. That can be said to a certain extent about most of the elements, but in chlorine's case it is particularly binary and entirely based on intent. Like, as we will discuss when we get to selenium. That's another which is vital until it's suddenly toxic, but the ratios are mostly achieved by luck. With chlorine, it's all about the decision, the mind behind the gas. Reading up on chlorine, again and always I am indebted to Theodore Gray. I'll leave a link to his book in the description. Anyway, while I was reading, this image arrived in my head. A pale yellow boy on a tightrope, a pitcher of clean water in one hand, a gas mask in the other. The allegory is quite simple and pointed. Tolkien said that he hated allegory, but if that's true, I don't know how he excused Leaf by Niggle. If that's literally a story about a man who falls ill and then is swept up by a messenger and put on a literal train to go to an actual labor camp run by the stern voice and the gentle voice who eventually sent him off to live in a landscape which he himself had painted before he fell ill, well, I mean, really. Tolkien's birthday was on the 3rd. I sound like a dweeb for keeping track, but for me it's easy because it's also my sibling's birthday. Tolkien would be 129, so he's still not beaten the old Took yet. Fellow Tolkien heads, we ought to plan an especially big party in January of 2023. Let's get on that. Speaking of Tolkien and my sister, have you checked out our Lord of the Rings podcast yet? It's sort of like listening to a two-narrator audiobook if the narrators were constantly distracting each other with tangents. It's actually pretty fun and informal. Come check it out. I'll leave a link to that as well. Our schedule of output is pretty informal too, but we've made it to the Black Gate, which gives newcomers something like 30 episodes to catch up on if you should be so inclined. Inclination might lead you over to Patreon as well, where I'm writing the Elemental Companion book, a page a week, exclusively for my patrons. Everybody else can read it when it's done and published, but patrons get privileges. of these gases, I like the wings to mean something. Adds another dimension of significance to the shenanigans. In this case, I dove into the lepidoptery rabbit hole and came up with the pipevine swallowtail. I like how the contrast in the wings, which we'll get to in a minute, is eye-catching. I like that the caterpillar of the species is toxic, which makes for a nice parallel with chlorine, although, speaking candidly, that's not particularly unusual. Most caterpillars have a toxic defense system. But still, I love painting butterflies. I don't have a favorite, though. But I can say that my family members have always been represented by moths and butterflies in my brain. Mom is a monarch, Dad is an atlas moth, Heather is totally a Luna moth, Brown is a Colorado hairstreak, Blue is a tiger swallowtail, Ethe is a mourning cloak, Seb is a cloudless sulphur, and Avedon is a white cabbage butterfly, although I'd be willing to bet he'd rather be a morpho. Do you have a favorite butterfly? Let me know in the comments. Speaking of Avi, this face turned out rather like his. He's a handsome child, although, as his mother, I'd probably think that regardless. Once again, ElfQuest ears are noticeably present. I can't help it. The design is so appealing. And ElfQuest was one of my first and strongest influences artistically. This can be spotted in all my art, even when pointy ears are nowhere in sight. By the way, the first 89 elements are finished, and they're hanging up at a local coffee shop with a big-ass wall. I am so excited! I'll post pictures. Follow the hashtag. Here are those awesome red-orange wing spots. Since I couldn't find a good battlefield butterfly or water-cleaning butterfly, at least I found one with intense contrast in the colors. Sometimes I have to reach for my metaphor, but this painting was very straightforward. It looks just like the sketch. I love how the background turned out. The concept is simple and graphic and memorable and poignant, and it did not fight me like some of them do. I'm not bragging. I'm counting my blessings. Really, my only problem was how to achieve a tightrope. I cannot have bits from any of these paintings reaching the edge, because then I have to figure out how to incorporate them into the next element's background, and the whole thing snowballs, and the anxiety hits, and then I get hives, and then I need to go curl up somewhere for a while. So, no edge breaching. I needed to show a tightrope in a confined space. So I just sort of miffed it into a fog that sort of works. Enough, anyway, to satisfy me. If you hate it, comment and tell me so. If you like it, defend me against these haters. Let's all go to the comments. Let's all go to the comments. Here we are at the all-important accoutrement. Chlorine's metaphysical meaning in this deck is choice, because of all that stuff we talked about earlier. Choice to do good or do harm. Choice to act or stay still. Choice to burn lungs or quench thirst. Most people would say that's silly. Of course I'm on the side of good, not evil. But then they use their goals as excuses to cause harm, and that is a compromise a depressing number of people are willing to make. As Sam Vimes says in Night Watch, we can't say we're good guys and do bad guy things. If you aren't familiar with this character, do yourself a favor and go read Guards by Terry Pratchett. You'll thank me, I promise. Then you'll go out and buy the rest of the Watch series, because it's brilliant, incisive social commentary and should be required reading for all humans, especially anyone trying to adapt it to television. Please don't see that show thinking you're experiencing Discworld. It's just so entirely not the case. Anyway, I found reference for a World War I gas mask. There were a few different varieties. I chose one I liked the look of. They reminded me of this old 1930s cartoon we used to have. It was kind of strange and chilling. It was about how the animals were celebrating Christmas, and an old squirrel was telling his grandkids why there's no humans anymore, and it turned out we'd all killed each other off in trench warfare. The woodland creatures lived in towns built of army helmets with bayonet lampposts. I don't remember what it was called, though, or even which company made it. If you know what I'm talking about, leave a comment below, because I'd love to watch that again, because, wow. Okay, that was a wide variety of tangents this time. That's what happens when there's no drama in the painting process. I love it when things go smoothly, with the bonus that I get to blather ceaselessly and never have to say the words, "Don't get attached to anything you see." And thank you for watching. And I will see you next week. Still aiming for Mondays. And even when there's turmoil in the world, I recognize that one of the best ways to fight it is to keep our little lanterns burning, and this is my lantern. I love you guys.
What are you doing?
Chlorine.
I mean, like, why do you have fluoride?
Oh, because I want to make sure their colors kind of match up. So I'm doing this. See? Making sure there's a little bit of overlap.
That's really nice.
Thank you.
Are you gonna do it kind of like that one?
It's already kind of like that one. And this one has a blue background because it's in that part of the periodic table. And now that background
There are
is...
3 canvases that are down. 4
Yes.
5 canvases that are down.
All right. All right. You can hang Florian back up. You know where she goes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can hang Argon back up. Abby will show you where she goes. Or he, I don't know. It's probably a gender neutral dragon.
Can't reach.
All right, I'll come help. I've got magnesium out as well. Oh, you're right. You totally can't hear. Excuse me. But at least you knew exactly where she goes.
And I know where Argon goes, and I can definitely help Connie with that one.
Here. There's Argon. And now there's only 3 down. And it's magnesium.